Yo, guys, so I've pretty much played a game as every single Civ now, and I'm pretty sure I have, in my own time at least. So I'm going to be doing a video talking about what I think are the best units from every era in Vox Populi. I'm not going to be talking about the unique components stuff for the moment. Maybe I'll do that in a future video. Just the stuff in a Vox Populi, balance patch. And yeah, what I think are the best units. So the way I'm gonna evaluate like the unique units is how do I think that unique unit would be if it was the unique unit of like a generic Civ. So like, yeah, if a Civ that had like no abilities just had that unique unit, how good would it be? So that's going to be able to take into account like, if it's an earlier tech than the unit it replaces, or if it costs less production or something, like how good is it with all that stuff mixed in. Yeah, because there are some units which are amazing because they like synergize well with a unique ability, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the unit itself is like that good. But yeah, let's crack on with this. So only one place to start, and that is in the old ancient era. So a couple of units in here. You got your archers, you get warriors just from the start anyway, so that's an ancient era unit. Chariot archers here, spearmen which are upgraded warriors, horsemen, and war elephants. Now, a lot of the stuff in ancient era is pretty well balanced, I would say. Obviously everyone plays the ancient era all the time, so there's never going to be anything like that OP. Otherwise people would complain about it. But yeah, so they all kind of have their uses. And to be honest, the way that I feel like most games go is you're not going to be doing that much combat with other civs in the early era, like unless you have a unique unit. So all you really want to be doing is basically killing barbs, and all of the units can do that. But I would say that I like to have like a combo of two units, so I'll have like an archer and a warrior, or maybe a chariot archer and a warrior. And the way that I don't normally like tech for a specific unit, I just go for whatever techs I want for other stuff. So like if I'm going for some wonders, and then I'll build whatever unit we have available while going for those techs. But if you do want to conquer people early, the only real ways to do it is to rush out archers, or maybe rush out spearmen and hope that you get there before people build walls. Or there is one other option, which is going to be what I think is the best unit, and obviously it is the best unit in ancient era, is the war elephants. They have much higher combat strength than anything else. The only thing about them is that you have to have ivory to actually be able to build them. So you're not going to be able to do it every game or like plan around it, but if you do have an ivory near you, they are so worth going for. They have a higher production cost, but they make up for it with the fact that the combat strength is so high, and you can basically use them like right up until medieval era, so you will get a lot out of them. And they do have a penalty when attacking cities, but if you take a couple of drill promotions on them, it can make up for that, and they are actually strong enough to be able to attack and kill cities with walls. So it's pretty much a game changer if you can have them. So they kind of have to be the best. And the high combat strength also allows you to get tributes, because your tribute strength is based off of the combat strength of your units that are nearby. So gotta go with these guys. Allowing you to actually kill walled cities early is a pretty unique thing, without having to go for catapults, which are kind of annoying to go for in terms of tech path. Yeah, so that's that for the ancient era units, but obviously you can't build that one every game, so I would say they're all fairly balanced apart from that. Now let's talk about the unique unit. So this one might actually surprise you guys, but in my opinion, the best unique unit in ancient era is actually going to be the Pictish Warriors. These are not the best units in terms of like military ability, because if you're fighting another civ, they don't have the most like benefits to that. You get bonus in snow, tundra and hills, 25% combat strength, and double movement. You get the combat strength if the forest or jungle isn't present, but you still get the double movement. Even it can help you get through forest, even though it doesn't give you double movement through forest, but you can get through like tundra forest, which normally you'd get stuck in. And the other ability, which is 200% of opponent's combat strength, is returned as faith when you kill a unit. And this is kind of the main reason I think this one is so good. I think they have slightly higher combat strength than the spearmen, which they replace as well. But like I said, they don't have the biggest combat benefits. It's more about the general benefit of them. As I said earlier, the main thing you want to be doing early is killing barbs anyway, so these are obviously amazing for doing that, and getting faith every time you kill a unit means these alone can pretty much get you first Pantheon and then first Religion, which is going to help you in like every single game, no matter what kind of victory you're trying to go for. And on top of that, they are actually available at mining rather than bronzeworking, where you would have to go to get spearmen. And I really don't like going bronzeworking because I don't like Statue of Zeus, and you know, all of the infrastructure stuff is generally up here. So the fact that you can just go mining, get the Pictish Warriors really early, start killing barbs, and you can also get a few of them out and start tributing people. They can seriously get you such a quick start. I did my Celts game a couple of games ago. I think I built Great Library around turn like 55 or something, just from getting tributes off everyone. It was absolutely nuts. And like, even if you didn't go authority to get the bonus from barbs, you still get the faith and the tributes and stuff. But yeah, with authority you get the culture for killing the barbs as well. It's pretty insane. So that's why I'm going to go for those guys. And when you upgrade them, you get to keep all this earning faith from killing units as well. So you can have all of your infantry getting you faith when you kill units for like the rest of the game, which is also super nice. And it scales because it's 200% of the combat strength of the unit. So very cool stuff. But if you want like just the best, like purely for combat, I would probably go with the Immortals. So they're unique spearmen. They get armor plating, which is 25% combat strength when defending, and faster healing. Heal an additional 10 HP per turn. I mean, it's kind of exactly what you want from your infantry, like the ability to stand in the front line, tank damage, and then heal as well. Like, if you get March on these guys and get them near a medic, they can just like, basically, they'll rarely die because they have the bonus defense, and then they can just keep healing as well. You know, they make a great front line for having your artillery behind them. Other good stuff, Manda Carlos, obviously. Some of you are probably surprised I didn't go for this, but it's what I said earlier, where part of the strength of these guys is actually in the Song High ability rather than the actual Manda Carlos. They have, like, this promotion is really good. Flank attack increased, steal gold for damaging city and use enemy roads. I mean, it is very good. And they don't have the penalty to attacking cities that horsemen normally have. But one of the reasons they're so insane is that you get the Song High unique ability, which is giving units amphibious. And rivers are like the bane of horses' existence because you have this 4 movement, but if you cross a river, you lose all of it. But with amphibious, that you don't lose any movement for crossing rivers, so they can just run around doing whatever. Yeah, and you do need horses for them, so you might not necessarily have them straight away Quinqueremes used to be probably the best, but they have been nerfed. This promotion, you now lose it when you get upgraded. So even though it's a super nice unit, I think the fact that they might not actually be that useful after you upgrade them to the next one, and the fact that if you're playing as a generic civ, you might not even be coastal. So I couldn't really say that they're like the best unit. Whereas Pictish Warriors, unless you have like barbs turned off or something, they're always going to be very, very good. Alright, that's enough on that. Let us move on to the classical era. So, a couple more units in here. Skirmishers are upgrades on the Chariot archers. Composite bowmen are upgraded archers. First siege weapons here, the catapult and swordsman, which are... they're not actually upgraded spearmen, it's kind of like a different line that reconverges later on at tercios. Yes, and then you get triremes and dromons as the boat units. Now, do you know one thing I'd never noticed before until I did this video is there are actually no units in like the second half of the classical era. They're all in the first tech. And the best unit, I'm pretty sure, is going to be swordsman in most games. They do require iron, which makes them harder to get, but so they come with the cover promotion straight away, which is good on infantry. As I said earlier, you want them to be tanking in the front line, so they generally take a lot of ranged attacks. That's kind of what you want on them, and they got just a very high combat strength as well, 17. You know, it's considerably higher than, say, a skirmisher or a combo. Like, these guys do pretty low damage to them, especially with the cover promotion, and they obviously outclass spearmen quite heavily as well. So definitely going to be swordsmen if you can get them. Yeah, and there's no units in the second half of classical era to outclass them, so they will stay relevant right up until medieval. And to be honest, you can even still use them in medieval, because 17 combat strength is not like that much below what medieval units have. Now, unique unit, I am going to go with the unique swordsman of Rome, which is the Legion. Now, these guys actually get cover 2, so even more defense against ranged attacks. And you get this other promotion, Pelum. Enemy units take 10 damage at the beginning of every turn, 1 fortified. You lose it on upgrade. This isn't really that meaningful, I would say. But they also allow you to build roads and forts, which is something you really should be doing if you're trying to conquer people. It can make moving everyone around so much easier, like building roads right up until as far as you can towards the enemy territory, so you can get your units in and get them out and get them healed and stuff when they start taking damage. So yeah, like an army of these guys will do serious damage for a while, and they're even higher combat strength than the swordsman, which is already the highest combat strength thing in classical era. I mean, you could say Chris Swordsman, which is the Indonesian unique swordsman, are kind of similar. You get this Mystic Blade promotion, which turns into a random promotion, but cover 2 is probably going to be better than that, and they don't have the extra combat strength or the ability to build the roads and forts. I think I actually did build some forts in one game when I was trying to use like a catapult or trebuchet to take a city. Yeah. So having like these guys doubling up as workers, because this is when you'll want to be building your roads to connect all your cities as well, and it can be tough to find the time to build enough workers. I mean, workers cost 80 production as it is, so 100 production for a great unit / worker, definitely great. To be honest, if I was going to say the second best unit would probably be the bowman though. Probably better than the Chris Swordsman, these guys are unique composite bowmen, but they have considerably higher combat strength, and they actually get this indirect fire promotion. Yeah, so you can shoot over obstacles, which basically means you can just have a mass of these guys, and like they're not going to be getting in each other's way, or like normally there's only 1 or 2 spots that you can actually fire from, but with the indirect fire promotion you can kind of just have loads of them. And like I said, they have a high enough combat strength to actually be relevant, and like maybe even be able to take down cities. The only reason so to be honest, they are like really good. The reason I would say that they're not as good as the Legion is that they don't have the best like upgrade path, because ranged units, like your next upgrade is the Crossbowman, which is right over here, and it's not even like a strong unit. It's like late and not strong, so you don't really get good use out of them again until like I would say Musketmen, and even they are not spectacular. Whereas with the Swordsman, you get to upgrade them into Long Swordsman and then Tercios again, so they'll always stay relevant for like the whole game. But Bowmen in Classical era are probably the best unit at that moment, just because you can swarm them and they can do like something which no other unit can really do in that era. Yeah, so that is Classical era. Let us move on to Medieval era, and there's only one unit you could possibly choose here to be the best one. So there's Knights, Long Swordsmen, Pikemen, Heavy Skirmishers, Crossbowmen, and then you get upgrades to boats as well, which is Caravel and Galleass. And yeah, the Knights are absolutely crazy. 24 combat strength is pretty much higher than, well, it's higher than every other land unit, and basically the same as the boat units anyway, though they're not going to fight boats obviously. But yeah, you can get them as soon as you enter into Medieval era, and a lot of civs do actually do this. They go straight for chivalry and they start attacking you before you've had a chance to build castles. And even though knights do have the combat penalty when attacking cities, you can get the drill promotion on them, and they have a high enough combat strength that any city without a castle is just completely screwed. I feel like this is kind of the main way that games get lost when you're playing on Vox Populi. Like, if you ever get killed, it will generally be from a medieval night rush from someone who's got there before you, and you don't have castles up yet. Super scary units. Yeah, which I guess makes sense. That's kind of what knights were. But yeah, unique unit. This one may be a bit of a surprise as well, but I am going to say it has to be the Bandiarantes. This is a Brazilian unique explorer. Now, what they have is this generates gold, culture, and science each time you reveal a new tile. Now, this, it seems to be you get +6 of each for every tile you discover. And for those of you who might not know, a huge map could easily have over 5,000 tiles in it in total. So that would be 30,000 of those yields if you explored the whole map with one of them. Now, you're not going to be able to do that, but I feel like you can at least get, you know, in the tens of thousands of yields, especially if you wait with exploring a lot of the world until you get them. So the return rate for what you've paid for them is absolutely insane. And I guess even if you explore the whole world or something with them, you could still use them as basically a worker, which, as we said, cost 80 production anyway, so you can never really get enough workers. So I have to go with these guys. I mean, they can like completely transform your game. You know, 30,000 science is basically the entire Renaissance era's worth of science. Even 20,000 science is basically the whole of it. So yeah, and with a couple of them, you could definitely explore the whole world. I'm pretty sure they keep that ability when they upgrade as well, so even if you don't get it all done until Zeppelins, they will still get this. Just insane, really. They have one other thing, which is Survivalism 3, heal every turn. Is kind of useful, you know. There's usually still barb camps around at this point, like there'll be city-state quests and stuff that you can do, and this will help you kill barb camps quite easily. And I guess you can use it to get to, well, you can use it to have like a nice medic, which also heals every turn. But you're not really going to want to use these for combat, so, and it's not good enough to make them actually good in combat. Just use them for exploring the world and giving you insane yields. If you want the best like pure combat unit though, I would probably go with the Hwacha. This is the Korean unique trebuchet. Now, it's not actually that like high combat strength or anything, but what it does have is this logistics promotion. Now, logistics is something you obviously want on all ranged units, and it's especially on siege weapons right now. You can rarely actually get logistics because you really want to be going for siege and range, I would say. So having a free logistics promotion, you know, it helps you get more experience, and logistics and range just makes your siege weapons absolutely insane. So even though the Hwacha itself is kind of bad, the fact that you get to keep this logistics promotion when you upgrade to cannons makes it just, yeah, a bit of a game changer really in terms of what siege weapons can actually do. So the reason they're not good is that they don't have the bonus to attacking cities like other siege weapons do. They get this plus 100%. Hwachas don't have this. They do like slightly more damage to land units, but that isn't really what you want your siege weapons for, so it's not actually that useful at that time. But like for the rest of the game, you'll have insane siege weapons thanks to these guys. And should probably mention the Cataphracts as well. These are unique knights with even higher combat strength, so they absolutely shred everything, and they have a slightly reduced penalty when attacking cities, so they can obviously smash them. And they have some nice promotions that you get to keep. Cover and this open terrain bonus. So they're very, very good as well. I just don't think they're like as game changing as like the Bandiarantes or the Hwachas can be. But you could probably argue they are better than Hwachas, just because you get to use them earlier to do more stuff. Okie dokie. Renaissance era. So, we are getting a bit deeper into the game here. As soon as you enter Renaissance era, you get gunpowder, which gives cannons and tercios. Yeah, a lot of civs will go straight for gunpowder, similarly to how they'll go straight for chivalry in medieval era. They'll come to Renaissance era through gunpowder. And then you get lancers and musketmen, so upgraded knights, upgraded crossbowmen, and upgraded heavy skirmishers, the cuirassiers here. And then you get to upgrade your boats into corvettes and frigates if you take navigation. Now, I would say the best unit in Renaissance era is probably going to be the Canon, actually. You get them from coming straight into Renaissance era, and the 29 combat strength is genuinely very, very good. You know, it's much higher than the base combat strength of tercios, even, you know, similar to these guys, so it's definitely high enough to stay relevant for the whole era. And basically it puts you at a similar combat strength to cities with the castles, but cannons also have the plus 100% bonus to cities, you know, you'll probably have more promotions as well, giving even higher. So these guys really can shred through cities if you can get them in the right positions. And they have high enough combat strength to kill units, as I said, just because of the fact that, 29 is higher than 25. So even though they don't get bonuses to units, they still can do a good job there. You just need to keep them defended well. You can't let lancers come along and one-shot them or something. But they really, really do chew through castled cities very quickly. So I would have to say they are the best. They do take iron, which I guess is why they're like higher combat strength. They're like significantly better than the trebuchet, which doesn't need iron. But the thing is, what you'll have some long swordsmen that you'll be upgrading into tercios. And so long swordsmen take iron, but tercios don't. So you get your iron replenished, and then you can use that to either build cannons or upgrade your trebuchets. So you generally will have iron to spend on these guys, so that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, I think that's probably why they have like higher combat strength. It's just because they need iron, but it's not really like a particular downside. Now, quite a few good unique units in Renaissance era, but I would have to say, in my opinion, the best is the Sea Beggar. These guys are just nuts, man. Unique Corvette, and they get 3 extra promotions. So Vanguard, 125% combat strength when attacking cities. Damage from cities reduced by 50%. Just an insane promotion by itself. Prize ships, defeated enemy naval units join your side. Now this isn't maybe as good as it sounds because you don't get to keep the units' promotions and they join your side on like fairly low health. But it definitely is still good because you get to like capture their unit, and then if they want to kill that unit which is low, then they'll have to put themselves in a bad position. Like, it means your front line is like the captured units that you have that you don't really care about, and then your Sea Beggars can come in and finish off anyone who actually tries to take them out. And then supply, which is alright, plus 5 HP healed per turn and heal outside friendly territory. Definitely healing is something boats struggle with quite a lot. It's hard to get good heals on them in the right places, but there are other ways of getting the ability to heal outside friendly territory. There's quite a few ways actually, so you generally will have that if you have a boat heavy civ anyway. But still, really insane promotions. Slightly higher combat strength than the Corvette which they replace. And the other thing is that they're actually available at astronomy instead of navigation, so quite considerably earlier really. If you want to get to navigation, you need to go gunpowder, chemistry, and then navigation, compared to just having astronomy. And I mentioned about cannons having good combat strength against castles. Well, Sea Beggars have 42 combat strength. Castles are normally around the 30-ish mark. So that, plus they get the plus 125% strength. I mean, they really, really do go ham on any coastal cities. And by this point in the game, you'll definitely have some sort of coastal presence, even if you weren't coastal right at the start. So, yeah, man, these guys, they can just pick off any like coastal cities that you don't like, to be honest. And even they can just go and take capitals if there's like 1 or 2 coastal tiles around them, and beat like any navy single-handedly. Like, melee boats are already generally very good, I would say. They're kind of better than the ranged boats, so when you have a really good unique melee boat, you're gonna have some fun. I think it, like, on its own, it basically makes Netherlands like a really good authority civ, just the Sea Beggar. Like, that's the only benefit that they need. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they are the best, even though there are some other good units. For example, winged hussars are really good as well. Unique lancers, higher combat strength, higher movement. Formation 1, so they do more damage against mounted units and defend a bit better in open terrain. And then this is really, really good promotion. Forces a defender to retreat if it inflicts more damage than it receives. And a defender who cannot retreat takes 50% extra damage. And this 50% is actually like multiplied on top of the damage you've already done. So like most promotions are additives, so once you have like plus 100%, getting another 50% is not as great because it just puts you up to 250% from 200% damage. But this is, if you had 100%, plus 50% would be another 100%. So it means way more damage than most other promotions give, and 50% is already a lot for one promotion. So, and obviously with their high combat strength, they generally can do more damage than they receive, and you get to upgrade them into, land ships and tanks later on that are also generally going to be doing more damage than they take, so can keep doing the heavy charge thing. So yeah, another pretty insane unit, just not quite as insane as Sea Beggars. And I'll give a shout out to Ship of the Line. Definitely not on the same level, but they get this Indomitable promotion, and basically this promotion, naval ranged units, is the one that leads into logistics, and logistics is always going to be what you want to get on these boats. Normally it takes ages because you need to get up to 5 promotions to get there from the start, but these guys you can basically take logistics from straight away, so you basically get free logistics on these boats, so makes them range bonus from something that I wouldn't necessarily always use to like a really good unit if they all have logistics. So definitely a good unit, but just a bit outclassed by the other ones, unfortunately. Alright, Industrial Era. Stuff starts getting pretty interesting now with the units. You get Fusiliers, upgrade on your Tercio Infantry, Field Guns upgraded, Cannons, Gatling Guns upgraded, Musketmen, Cavalry upgraded, Cuirassiers, and then you get some upgraded boats as well, Ironclads and Cruisers. Best unit here, I would have to go with the Ironclads. 60 combat strength is really a lot, usually at, if not higher than even a city with an arsenal. The reason I didn't say corvettes were quite as amazing is because by the time you're here, even though they do more damage than castles can take, you're quite close to arsenals, so you might not actually be able to use them against castles. But Ironclads are already better than arsenals, and there's a long time before you get to military bases and the combat strength of cities goes up. On top of that, Ironclads even get bonus to attacking cities, which is pretty wild in my opinion. They get plus 33 combat bonus versus cities. And to be honest, the whole melee boat promotion line is really good. So by this point in the game where you start getting units with like 4 or 5 promotions, you can get into Blitz, plus you'll have like plus 45% combat strength, or you can have Vanguard as well, the natural way, by going through Dreadnought. So you can absolutely smash through cities with boats with Vanguard. Blitz boats are pretty nice as well, so you can attack the same city multiple times, even if there's only one tile that you can actually access it from. You can attack with Blitz boats and then Vanguard boats. Yeah, so they kind of have to be the best, just because of the sheer combat strength that they have compared to what's around them. I'll give a shout out to Field Guns. They are kind of quite a lot lower combat strength, but you do get indirect fire on them, which is something you will often be waiting for, to be honest. Like, cannons are really good, but there's never enough positions that you can attack from. And usually you want to go range, and then you want to wait for indirect fire for the field guns, because you don't really want to take a promotion that you're about to get for free anyway. So often field guns will be what I really want from Industrial Era. But I couldn't say that they're the best just because the Ironclads do way more damage. Whereas field guns, you'll need quite a few of them to actually take down an arsenal. And even though these guys get indirect fire, the arsenals themselves get indirect fire, so you won't be able to like hit a city from somewhere. They give cities indirect fire, so you won't be able to hit a city where they can't hit you. Still a good unit though. And to be fair, cavalry are actually decent as well. Probably the best of the mounted ranged line, I would say. And yeah, a lot of the unique units in Industrial Era are unique cavalry. I think the only other one is the Mihal Safari, and these guys are not so good because most of their benefits are for defending the capital, which isn't really what you need your infantry for. Infantry is for like tanking in enemy territory so that your field guns and stuff can do damage. If you want to defend your territory, just get Gatling guns or cavalry. So yeah, out of the unique cavalry, which is Berber Cavalry, Comanche Raiders and Cossacks, I'll actually give the nod to the Berber Cavalry here. To be honest, when I played Morocco, I was kind of thinking these guys were useless. But what they have is this: ignores terrain cost, and man, this makes a massive difference. You get to run over rivers, run through, hills, forests, all that stuff for just one movement point. And even though these guys don't have like a particularly big combat boost, and Homeland Guardian isn't like that useful, the fact that you can actually use them and use a lot of them and like get them in and out means like I think it outweighs the like big combat bonuses that Cossacks get, because you just won't be able to actually use these guys enough to like make attacking with them that viable. Like, cavalry themselves are good enough to defend your land, like, because you have roads and everything, you can get in and out and do damage with quite a few of these. So unless you're like super up against it and you need a unit to like wipe out loads of enemy units and defend your land, then you would want a Cossack. But if you want to do something different with these units in Industrial Era, then Berber Cavalry actually allow you to do that, because they can actually be good offensively, because you can use them in enemy land to like get forward and kill units and even attack cities, because you can just, even though they don't do that much damage to cities, you can use a lot of them and just wear the city down eventually. And they have decent range combat strength as well, so they can tank a surprising amount of hits. Like, they're not as weak as you would expect them to be. Same goes for cavalry and all the other ones. And Comanche Raiders, man, what a sad unit, to be honest. So late in the game and so kind of useless, to be honest. Yeah. Anyway, that is Industrial Era. Next era we have is the Modern Era. Now, finally, you get some armoured units here. The land ships. Upgrade for your lancers. You can get foreign legions if you have authority policy. Rifleman is the normal upgrade for Fusiliers. paratroopers, and quite a few units in here. So artillery, anti-aircraft guns, light tanks, and machine guns. Best unit in modern era, I would have to go with artillery. I already mentioned that the field guns are very useful because they have indirect fire. Now you get to keep that on the artillery, but they also have 1 extra range, and this is 1 extra base range. So if you have a range promotion, which you generally will go for on your siege weapons, if you follow my example at least, then you can be up at 4 range, which is insane. You can just have so many of them attacking the same city at once from positions that are very difficult for the enemy to get to. Yeah, these guys are really good. And to be honest, even 3 ranges is long enough that I would say you can go field and get like logistics or even splash damage if you want to kill off a lot of units. But yeah, you can go down here and still use them to attack, because 3 range is good enough, but 4 range is just like pretty insane for a unit to have. So just really usable guys. You can have a lot of them and use all of them simultaneously. Just definitely what you want. You know, there's a lot of units floating around in late game, so it's annoying if you can't use them. Land ships are pretty good. Yeah, definitely very good, just not like... They're not like a massively big improvement that I would say artillery is, in terms of what they allow you to do. Like, they are higher combat strength than infantry, but it's not like a big deal. But it is about to get better for them. Only unique unit in modern era is the Panzer, which is a unique tank. So it's a unique unit from the next era, but you get it in modern era. You get it in ballistics rather than combined arms where tanks come from. So these guys have an extra movement, extra combat strength, an extra armor plating promotion, because you get armor plating 1 anyway on land ships and tanks, but armor plating 2. So man, I mean, obviously the unit is so late that it has to be good, but they really are good, and the fact that you at least get it attack early makes slightly up for the fact that the unit is so late. But my god, they will shred through like any land unit from anything else, you know, other than tanks. And you can basically go for, like, at this point I basically always go for blitz on my armored units. You'll usually have enough promotions to get there or get pretty close to there when you make units at this point. And the fact that they have such high combat strength means like you definitely want them to be attacking twice each turn. And I even go mobility sometimes just to make sure I can get them all in and out and doing 2 attacks every turn. Yeah, especially with 6 movement. And these guys don't even have a combat penalty to attacking cities, so they can even smash through cities as well. Definitely a pretty insane unit. And to be honest, in the atomic era, I still would say that the tank is the best unit in atomic era. Just 75 combat strength, much higher than any of the other land units, and the fact that they have 5 movement as well. And like I said, you can go for the blitz promotion, and they can do a lot of stuff with that. We haven't mentioned planes yet. You do get your first planes at flight in modern era. They're not really that good at this point. 6 range is surprisingly not long enough to do a lot of the stuff you want to do. Apart from defend, really, and they do take oil, which is what your tanks need. I would say heavy bombers are actually worth getting though. Once you get up to the 8 range, and I mean there are promotions you can get to increase your range on bombers as well, to get them up to like 10. Like you will definitely be able to use them where you need them at this point, and they do pretty good damage. And the fact that, you know, bombers are so like versatile, you can use them to attack any unit. They don't have to get through certain units or whatever. Makes them pretty usable. I just think they're not quite as good as tanks, unfortunately for them. There are no unique units in Atomic Era, but there are some of the ideology units. You get mercenaries from Authority, guerrilla fighters from Order, and B-17s from Freedom. So I would say B-17s are the best out of these guys. Like I said, heavy bombers are already pretty good, and B-17s, you get a free siege promotion straight away, and evasion. Now this isn't amazing because you still get intercepted anyway, so you still lose your attack because you got intercepted, but they do take less damage. But having the siege promotion basically kind of guarantees you'll be able to get up to air logistics and probably range as well, like straight away, just to make sure that you can use these guys as much as you need. And to be honest, the other units are nice, but infantry are pretty outclassed by tanks at this point, so even though they're decent improvements on the infantry, still you'd rather just have like tanks, even if they cost more to make, to be honest. But if you don't need oil, those guys can be useful. Generally you'll have oil though, especially if you go refrigeration and get the offshore platforms. And then finally we are into Information Era. Units get a bit crazy at this point, and there is one even more crazy unit, which is the giant death robot. So this is the upgrade, so you get modern armor. So it's crazy because modern armor is the second highest combat strength unit in the game, and then you can upgrade that into giant death robots. So the second best unit in the game upgrades into the best unit of the game. So these guys are just way ahead of everything else. Within 8 movement, I mean, ridiculous. This Titanic promotion, so plus 100 hit points, basically doubles your hit points, plus 25% combat strength when attacking, and you get a free ranged attack before you start combat, so they do even more damage. I don't know exactly how this ranged attack works, but I know it can sometimes one-shot lower combat strength units. And yeah, you still get armor plating as well, so you definitely want to go blitz with these guys. But sometimes your ranged attack will kill a unit and then you'll still be able to attack another unit because the ranged attack is like separate. So you can even do 3 attacks a turn sometimes. Pretty ridiculous. Obviously the unit is so late, that's why it's so good. You know, at this point the game is pretty much over, and it needs uranium as well, so you're kind of choosing this over an atomic bomb or a nuclear missile. I would say I would probably choose these over nuclear missiles in most cases though. You know, these guys are one use, so whereas these guys you can probably kill like 2 units every turn for quite a few turns, but obviously the game is pretty close to ending at this point, so you might be forced into using nukes instead, just to make sure you don't lose or whatever. But obviously a pretty ridiculous unit. I think I've only ever used it in one game. I was trying to like win some really difficult late game. I think I ended up in a war with giant death robots versus giant death robots. So a bit of fun there. But yeah, insane unit if you can get it, of course. Alright, so this is the full list of units that I have chosen. I just want to talk about one unit quickly, which I forgot to mention, which is the War Chariot. It's pretty similar to the Pictish Warrior, another ancient era unit. but it gives production for kills instead of faith. Yes, now production usually is a better yield than faith to get, but to be honest, in the early game, faith might even be better, and Pictish Warriors give a bit more faith than War Chariots give production per kill, and also they have more combat bonuses, and infantry is just generally better than like mounted ranged units throughout the game, so you get more use of them. I would say to do what you want, so that's why I would say Pictish Warriors are better than War Chariots, but War Chariots are definitely like a very good unit as well. We made pretty good use of them in the Egypt live stream. And if I was going to choose the very best units out of these lists, I would probably say for the normal units, I would actually go with the Ironclad, and for the unique units, I would have to say the Sea Beggar, to be honest. So lots of love for the naval melee boats from me. I think they generally are a lot better than the naval ranged boats, and they also do a lot of damage to cities. And they have like really good promotions that help with doing damage to cities, and Blitz obviously. So they beat the only other unit in their domain, and then they also can help you kill cities really easily. So they are just really good units in a good part of the game where you're usually ready to start conquering as well. And the other thing about them is they don't even use any strategic resources, which most of the other units in these lists do. I think Pictish and Bandiarantes are the only other ones in the whole list that don't use any strategics, as well as Ironclad and Sea Beggars. Basically just means you can have like as many of them as you could possibly want, up to your force limit of course. So yeah, that is my personal favourite units, but let me know what you guys think, if you think I left any out or anything. And if you like the video, make sure you subscribe and check out some of my series. We have used pretty much all of these guys at some point or another, so hopefully you should be able to find what you're looking for. And I will see you guys soon.